Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. I got the Mad New Yorker backstage. Going to go over this week's biggest topics in the wide world of sports here. But first, stand by. Let's take our first and only break, and we'll be back here momentarily and hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows, giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
All righty then. Got the Mad New Yorker here. What's up, man? I can't hardly see you. You look camouflaged with that hat on there.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to stand out, you know.
Hey, what do you think about this buzz on this? I didn't send you this, but the Canadians versus the United States hockey game, dude. That's a lot of buzz about that for a hockey game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in Boston tonight. It's one of the finals for this championship that they have here. A lot of fighting. There's been a fight in the last 3 games or 4 games.
You expect there be a fight tonight?
Well, they're going to be fighting. There's going to be fighting.
Boston, did they boo the Canadian national anthem?
I'm sure it's starting right now. I'm sure somebody said something. So,
yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's a bunch of Trump is King signs up everywhere and all kinds of stuff going on. But let me just say, if you guys are put that on the side, because that's going to be fired tonight. Once we get off the air, finish watching.
Yeah, I think I'll peek it out. I mean,
it's a
so
must
much hype on that, you know.
Yeah, it's on ESPN, by the way, so you guys know it's on ESPN. So
yeah, 8 o'clock right after the. We'll probably still be able to catch most of it.
Definitely a lot of commercials. So.
Oh, of course. There's been a lot of talk about this NBA. I don't recall a time where you've had a current player, Draymond Green, criticize the NBA the way he has during All-Star Weekend.
Yeah,
Guys like Barkley and Shaq. But what do you think about that, man?
Yeah, you had that also with the greatest of all time, even Tom Brady talking about the NFL. I think the reality is that the media.
Well, that's true, yeah.
The media wants to get a wind of something and stir things up, and bring a little bit more, bring more thought into about what is a product, right? Like I'm in business, and all these things that we're watching today, it's all about business. yeah, there's sports, fans are included. It's all of us. We love to, follow, and we like to cheer. But at the end of the day, the owners, the leagues, they're making money. And the other stuff that we like, the traditional stuff, the schemes, those things that the fans like, they go under wayside. But thank you, media. Thank you, people like us. We talk about these things. But in the reality is, as a consumer, as somebody who buys tickets, watches games, just give me a good show, right? Just give me a good show. Like in basketball, NBA, be a little bit more competitive. Like, let's see a little bit more out of your players that are getting paid the most money. Let's see a lot of
Do you think they should take away guaranteed contracts and have incentive based on wins and losses in games?
Rob, we talked about this back in the day, back in college. We used to say, let's just pay for the day, right? Pay them.
That would be tight, right? Now, I understand certain types of salary just to be a base, but add on incentives to win each game. Exactly. I think that would be.
We get paid for showing up to work, right? And we don't get paid if we show up late, if we end up leaving early,
right?
So I feel like if you want to kind of just, make it better for the owner to kind of, see what these kind of contracts are about. The players should kind of do the same thing. I'm not against, and I'm not saying that these players, they're not playing hard enough. No, everybody's doing something, but can everybody be doing the same thing on the field, on the courts, wherever they get paid to do something? I'm not against that. But there's days where I go and I've watched the game. I paid more than $50 because in New York, everything you go to is more than $50. And you're sitting there and it's like, oh my gosh, what did I just pay for? And then on top of that, I gotta pay to buy a drink if I'm thirsty, eat if I want to eat. I don't have to do those things in the stadium and in the arena, but that's part of the that's part of what the attraction, right? So and I'm not mad about that because I value my money and I wanted to go to that event. It's the after thing, it's the after effect where you're like, man, am I gonna go again? Because I didn't enjoy what I saw the first time, right? And not for that price,
What would you recommend to do to fix the NBA? Because the ratings are way down.
Yeah. So man, I mentioned this a few times. I'm all about the American leagues doing what they do in world leagues and having more than 2 seasons. Have 2 seasons of NBA, have a winter season and a spring season. I want to see a better minor league program, a better program that fosters and creates better players, more disciplined basketball, the game. Kind of things I think would help all the American league, all the sports leagues, because some of these sports are going way too long, and these contracts are getting way too big. And I foresee that happening in a lot of sports. Being the NBA and the NFL for sure.
Yeah. Do you so you're okay with making it extending the age 3 years past high school or 21, whichever one comes first?
Yeah, we have laws
like the NFL.
Yeah, we have laws in the United States that kind of right now are prohibiting young people to be involved in sports in a high level. Other countries don't. This is why someone like Luka Doncic has been playing since he's been 15, officially as a professional, 16.
Yeah.
So, but again, he's coming down off his prime. He's not going to get better,
okay.
He's a little bit old. He's considered older. Wembanyama, who went down this for the season today.
Yeah, he just got hurt today.
He's been playing. He's been playing professional as a in France. So these kind of things, they sure will sometimes help players, but they can hinder players too. Their game expectancy life is cut shorter because of that. So I expect that in the U.S. eventually it'll come down to something like being involved in a minor or independent league, but maybe at the age of 17 at the minimum, right? Depending on the states. Every state law is different too for work, so.
Yeah. I just thought that would help, man. And what do you think about moving the season, not starting it around Halloween where you've got?
Why? I don't feel like you have to move the season. I feel better if there was if there was a spring season and then a winter season, and just have half and half, right? So in the full season you'll see two different winners, and then you'll also give the players an expectation where, hey, just got to win in these 50 games, right? And then we'll see about moving you about. If you want to move on, or if you don't, you can stay on the team. You don't have to sign a 10-year, 7-year contract if the team isn't that good anyway. Like who?
Yeah.
You want those kind of contracts because you want to have some stability. But
how long? What's your longest contract then?
Yeah, I'm more business oriented. I don't feel like any player should sign more than a 3-year contract, to be honest.
Okay.
And I feel like it should be guaranteed the first year, option of the second and third year, depending on what the situation is between the team and the player. Like the player feels like, and if they're really good and they feel like they can't do anything because the team's not bringing in enough people, then they could have an option to be, a restricted free agent and then a free agent after the year after that, right? Make it simple for the players and the teams, man. Like, teams like the Yankees, they get hamstrung on some of these long contracts. We got a player like Giancarlo Stanton right now who's going to be out until the end of spring training.
Dang.
He's been on that team for a while. So like these kind of things, they hamstring and they tie down these teams, and the fan bases get so upset because they want to.
I just don't know why the Major League Baseball keeps doing those contracts.
It's not just to make look. Higgins in the NFL is about to get contracted. And he wants a bigger contract, right? But now they give him a franchise tag. So these money things, these contract, man, they can affect the teams and the actual league themselves. Like we're fans, like so we just want our team to win, and we sometimes want to keep players longer than they need to be here. But that's just the way it is, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. This food for thought. Going to Major League Baseball. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You're a Mets fan. Do you think Steve Cohen's got the stomach to take on a guy like that if he comes available, say, around the Major League Baseball trade deadline coming up in July?
As a fan of New York, I would like to see Vlad on any New York team. Huge Dominican contingency here in New York.
Yeah,
they would definitely support him, and it'd be a place that he's not far from home as far as having people support him from his country of origin. But listen, this guy has to do what he can do to, one, make sure that he's in a position to win always, right?
Yeah.
And two, no matter, because of the type of player he is, he's going to get compensated. So if I'm his agent, if I were his agent, if I represent him, I would shoot for a place even like the Marlins, man. Like, be in a place where they'll build around you, where there's youth.
Yeah. And what do you see in the Marlins right now?
They got fulfill a lot of holes. They need they're in a situation where they can move a few young pieces around. They're in a rebuilding stage. So is he going to win there? No, but if he's looking for a long contract and if he's going to be somewhere, you might as well be in Miami than anywhere else, right? I mean, like, where else would you go where you can get big money and not get taxed and be around your fellow countrymen?
Yeah, but I'm sure he probably wants to win, though.
Or the Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay's a little bit better.
I think Tampa Bay would be better. He'll still be playing against the Yankees because I think he's got a little gripe against the Yankees. I think that
he made a comment about that.
I think it's something. And I'm not going to put like words out there because I just feel like the Yankees had an opportunity to get Vlad Guerrero, his father, and didn't do it.
Okay.
And I think he's kind of like holding on that grudge, like, why didn't, you didn't show up.
Would you want to put him at first with the Mets, or would you want to move him around if he decide to sign him with the Mets?
If he signs to any team, he'd definitely be playing, I'd say about 60-40 or flip-flop DH and position. I mean, you don't want him to be all worn out. And on top of that, you want him, he's going to hit the ball. So
yeah,
that's the reason you got him. So, it's tough. I'm not sure if the Mets will be able to pick him up. They would be certainly in contingency to I'm sure they have a plan for after Pete Alonso. It's just one of those things. Even just looking at what the Yankees have to offer as well. There's space they can make space for a player like Vlad Jr., but if they bring him here, it's a money move, man. It's one of those, like, strong, like, it's not it will work against Vlad Jr. than against him more than it'll be positive for him. And I like him as a baseball player, and I think he would do better on a team that's a team oriented and not superstar oriented. I'm just, to be honest with you,
where would be? You think he would work out down in Atlanta? They're pretty team oriented.
Yeah, they're team oriented. They're pitcher heavy. I see that Solar's not. His contract's coming up. I don't know if Atlanta. I don't know if Vlad would want to go to Atlanta.
Okay.
It's not that Atlanta wouldn't want him. It's I would see Houston, like you talked about yesterday. They would have a better chance of picking him up. Again, he's got a good team around him. I'm sure he talks to his pops. If he signs anywhere, it's going to be somewhere where he ain't going to be paying that much taxes, bro. I mean, he's going to pay taxes in every city he plays for, but if he's gonna put down his stakes in a house or have his family live in, it's gonna be someplace that doesn't have a state tax.
Really?
Yeah, I feel that way. I would do that. I would, if I was playing baseball right now and I was looking for a contract.
Well, Houston would be a good fit then for
Texas, Florida. You want to go one of those places.
You don't think that he's big into winning right now? I mean, the Blue Jays are getting kind of down,
If the problem in baseball, Robert, is that even if he's on a high, let's say he was going to be on the Yankees and the Mets, the likelihood of them going to the playoffs is always high. But when they're in the playoffs or even in a World Series game, the fact of the matter is they never 100%. Never 100%. And your depth level is so much lower. So you're forced to whoever's on that team to play minds out baseball, and it's hard. It's more difficult than it sounds. Like the Yankees, what happened with the Dodgers last year? Like they didn't have that depth that they needed to win. So
he would be a depth guy. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of markets. Only so many markets because he's going to command a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel for him
$500 million plus.
I feel for him is that as much as and even his agent, as much as there's an opportunity for him to max out, just try to go the three-year route, man. It's so much easier to move from a team to be a rental than it is to just be like, especially in baseball, because let's say he signs a deal, he's with Houston, he's there, after spring break, after spring training, and then all of a sudden he gets a wrist or some kind of leg issue, and then he's on and off the field, and what are you gonna do? You're guaranteed. You got money, but you're not gonna be in a playoff run if you're not in the lineup, right? So,
do you think that the guys, Shohei Ohtani was successful last year
into the playoffs? In the playoffs, he stunk it up.
Yeah, but I'm saying as far as winning the World Series, putting that salary off, did he start a new trend, a Bobby Bonilla type of trend, where you could stack the team around him, and defer that money until a later time? Do you think a Guerrero would want to bite on something like that so he could compete for championships and get paid on the back end?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, is to get on a team, and no matter what the money is, just be on a team that's competitive. And I'm sure that's the number one thing the agents talk about, not the players, because the players they just agreed to terms and deals, but
I guess we'll find out this time around.
I think when it comes to players,
that contract in November,
when you're on that high end, the players, all they have to do is worry about is when they're going to get paid, not how, because the how is going to come up, and it's like when. So I'm sure no matter what, he knows he's going to be set up because he did what he had to do, right? So
maybe he would be more likely because his dad played, and I'm sure his dad's still doing pretty well. 16 years, Vlad Guerrero. Okay, who's better? Is it Vlad or Vlad Sr.? Vlad Sr.'s pretty freaking good. 48 home runs in 21, 288 average. Vlad Sr. was a mother bleeper.
Yeah, I would say this. time will tell. We already know what senior accomplished. We just got to see here what junior's going to do, and because we did this with a former player in Cecil Field Jr. We had high hopes for him, and he just had way too many injuries, and even his father was injured, but his father
never quite was the power hitter Dad was.
Yeah, his father had a longer career, so but respect to both of them, a father and son duo. It was good to see Fielder until his body couldn't do it anymore. And it sucks that he cut his career short, but I don't expect that out of Vlad Jr. But it's baseball, and these kind of sneaky injuries to big bodies kind of come up and happen.
Yeah.
So, I just want them to be careful and just have a good career at the end,
Yeah. I definitely, after digging into the numbers yesterday, man, Vlad Sr. was the better player. Do you recall how good an arm he had? Yeah.
As of now, yeah. He had a rocket of an arm. He'd throw people out from,
other side of right field somewhere.
Right field. Not only that, his pop-ups, they were like one of the hardest to catch because they went so high.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get caught in the light, because it went so high.
He played with Montreal so many years.
Yeah. So, when you think about back in the day and think about what kind of player he was, remember he was in an Angels team and he had that team. He had carried that team a few times in the playoffs with his bat. Yeah. So,
he was something else, man. I tell you, interesting stuff here. Okay. I sent you this text here from this guy. Now, he's not a major reporter or anything. He might just be trying to pump up his site here, this Brett Hoffman. But he claims, and I found this off the X app, he says the Jets have contacted the Titans to discuss the number 1 pick to get Cam Ward. And he threw up a trade package. I want to see what you think from the Jets' perspective. Now, the Jets' offensive line seems pretty good. They drafted a left tackle last year out of Penn State. Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Good pass blocker there. Made some free agent acquisitions. They got the defensive line here. They've got Garrett Wilson. We know they're probably going to try to keep him. They might try to move Devontae Adams. So they're not too far off. But this guy says the Jets would offer Titans that 7th pick this year, their 2nd round pick this year, a 1st round next year, a 2nd round next year, and a 2nd round in 2027 just to come up 6 picks to take Cam Ward.
Oof.
What do you think if you're the Jets? Is that too much for Cam Ward?
I mean,
considering what the Jets have, they're going to move off Rodgers as soon as they're able to move off Rodgers.
I think it's a bad, bogus deal for both teams, to be honest with you. You're the Titans.
Yeah.
You want to move up. You're giving out.
So you're moving down. You'd be moving down to 7.
You're moving down. And the Jets are giving you these picks. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, that's a risky move, bro, to be honest with you.
Well, the Titans, I think it'd be great for the Titans.
The problem is that you're like these picks sound good, but then then who is on your chart? Like who is on your players chart that you're ready for?
At 7?
That 7 pick, right? Because you're not gonna then you won't get a quarterback because you only.
What
got
do you think about the Jets side of it though? Would you take Cam Ward? If you thought that he could play, if he looks good in your interviews and all that?
Now, if I'm the Jets, that's a naive pick. As much as they need a quarterback right now, they're not formulated and they're not structured enough to have another first-round quarterback.
Okay.
They went that route in the last.
I figured you would say that. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, no, everybody else is a Jets fan. I was like, yeah, he's gonna want it. Like, I've seen this play out the last 6 to 8 seasons. We've seen a few first-round quarterbacks, and I'm not like you. You don't have a team structure. You don't have a team coaching. You don't have team coaches. You don't have enough to solidify yourself enough to pick a first-round QB. You just don't. And
you're thinking he's going to be you're still thinking about Zach Wilson, huh?
I'm still thinking about the fact that they had Aaron Rodgers and couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not saying that he's in his prime or anything, but that was the most decorative as far as resume QB you've had in the last 10 years. And you couldn't do anything with him. With the team, with the defense, you said that was going to be one of the best in the league. With chopped up offensive line, but great. He had his tools. He brought his own people, and you had, young guys out there in a running back and in a wide receiver, in the top rookie teams, and you didn't do anything. So, what makes you think if you bring in someone with less experience in a QB situation? This just doesn't make no sense. I would feel better if they gave this pick to the Titans. The Titans, if they take this pick, they're gonna win this pick. But if the Jets give it, they're gonna lose.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Although Rodgers, you could make the argument that there was, Rodgers was constantly dealing with injury, but say that's your argument. Say that Rodgers is. Remember, he's coming back from a torn Achilles.
Right. No. This is before he tore his Achilles. But let's just say Rodgers is over the age of 40, which I always said why you got a guy over the age of 40. Even with his age being over 40, you wasn't able to keep him upright enough to get anything out of him, anyways. So, what makes you think that you could put a guy who's under the age of 25? No NFL experience, and be able to go to a Super Bowl with him after picking him in the first round?
Who thought they would the Commanders would get to the NFC Championship game with the guy?
But we don't talk about Cam Ward like we talked about Jay Daniels. I don't. Have we talked about Cam Ward like we talk about?
I never talk. Where do you get this? We didn't talk about.
We did. We did. We talked about how he was better than
Caleb Williams.
And we also talked about that he played pretty well, and he was a good quarterback being in the SEC compared to Will Levis and the other guys that were coming.
Yeah, Will Levis was not that good.
No.
Every game I've seen Cam Ward play in was good. Louis Riddick with ESPN, he said head and shoulders he would definitely take Ward over Schroeder Sanders. I don't know if you heard that the other day.
I mean, look. If the draft happens today, Shedeur Sanders should be the number one quarterback.
Wow. I'm torn, man.
There's no
one day I think it's Sanders, another day I think maybe it is Ward,
For number one reason. Okay. He was always coached or had some kind of coaching from NFL coaching staff or NFL coaches.
Schroeder?
Yeah, Shedeur, yeah.
Shedeur,
so Shedeur, even when he was in Jackson State, is that correct? Jackson State?
Yes. Yeah.
His father would bring in people to help him. He would go in camps and was always surrounded by somebody who had some kind of NFL experience. And those things matter. They matter because he might not be an NFL quarterback at the moment, but his mind is getting prepared. His body is getting prepared for that. Everybody who talks about this guy says that he's like an old soul. He's in the gym. He does what he has to do. Yeah, I'm sure if you talk to him and you put him in the media, you kind of got like a 50-50 feel about him. None of that matters. When he's on the field, he puts himself in a position to win every single time. I've never seen him on the field with the football in his hand and was ever going to give up or did not have an opportunity to win where he didn't take it. So just that mentality, you know that this guy is going to be somebody. He just got to be put in a situation where the guys that surround him believe the same thing, that this man is going to be able to take us to the promised land. With Cam Ward, I'm not saying that I don't feel that or see that. Him is different. Him is like he's gone to two different places, and he's a winner, and he's athletic. But I'm not sure, maybe in 2 or 3 seasons he'll be better, but you don't pick him if you're going to play him in 2 or 3 seasons, right? That's the idea, right? If you're an NFL team, you don't want Cam Ward in 2 or 3 seasons. You want him right now, and you want to be in like you said, like in the playoffs.
39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 67% completion percentage. That was at Miami. But whatchamacallit had like 50-something touchdowns. That was Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Well,
so
again, the teams that they were on were different as well. So
yeah,
like it's hard to compare. It's like apples and oranges.
Now Sanders did have a 70+ compete. He has the highest in the history of the game.
I mean, again, I watched a lot of games and I watched some of the old HSBCU, like the HBCU games, and they very took overhandling some of these teams, but it's not. He wasn't
37-10, yeah, and it's 74%.
What I can say
is all-time leader in FBS history for Shedeur Sanders.
What I can say is that there's times in the beginning of the game, which I don't like about Shedeur, is that the game is he's not playing up to what the game needs, right? And I think that's just a mental thing and him just trying to get.
See, Chad likes that. Chad likes that. Yeah, Chad, you get a pass rusher or you get that left tackle and move him to right, or you just take the best available player at 7. I don't think you'll get Abdul Carter at 7.
Yeah, I mean,
don't you think he'll probably go inside that? The Penn State.
Well, they'll have a new GM, so that's the only thing I'll be like positive about.
Take a bridge quarterback. That's probably what I don't know. A lot of these answers we'll have a better indication once the free agency starts in March next month.
Yeah.
Then we'll have who's going to go to the draft early but not unless you're in most cases will be like that. We'll have that indication. Of course, you had the Atlanta situation last year where Penix was signed, where they had Cousins sign, and then they drafted Michael Penix. So that's going to be interesting. I would probably take these guys over Penix. I think Penix just had a better team around him, and I like Penix.
What I like about Penix is that he got a accuracy, man. His accuracy,
he's pretty accurate, but left-handed guy really throws off a defense.
I'm gonna throw a name out there, and I know that he's kind of off kilter a little bit, but he did really, really well towards the end of the season. Is Spencer in Louisiana on the Saints?
Rattler.
You
think he's gonna break out this year?
I feel like if he stays the course,
new coaching staff,
if he stays the course, he can surprise a lot of people. Again, he took a lot of hits. He threw a few interceptions, but man, that kid, he wanted to be on the field, and it showed. Man, I got a lot of respect for him. I didn't like him coming out of school. I thought he was way too arrogant. I thought he was thinking he was way bigger than the game itself, but. I feel like
a little bit.
I feel like he humbled himself a little bit, being in the NFL, being a starter out of left field, and you know what? I give it up to the kid, man. He stepped up, and he almost won a few games there. So I'm expecting a little bit more from him, and I think the Saints got themselves got lucky there, to be honest with you, because he came as an unsigned rookie, right?
I think it was like a 4th or 5th round pick. He fell. He wasn't first or second. Yeah, he transferred to South Carolina. I remember he was playing under Lincoln Riley with Oklahoma, and I thought he was going to be all world too. He thought he was going to be, and ironically, he was beat out by Caleb Williams, if you recall.
Right.
Yeah. In that Oklahoma game against Texas, and then the rest is history. They both end up transferring.
Yeah. I mean. Caleb Williams, he should do better than this coming season. He played pretty decent, to be honest with you. They just didn't have much there after they got rid of the coach. That team kind of just became mediocre, to be honest with you.
A lot of it is scheme, though. I mean, you could tell the talent's there with him.
The talent is there. He has a little bit of upside, but you gotta be the man. You gotta be one on the field no matter what happens, even Yeah. So, but it's a promising young set of quarterbacks out there as well. So,
yeah, that's an interesting little tidbit there. I'd kind of like to see Titans get a big move there and trade down, but maybe they don't really have a good partner there. We'll find out, but I don't know. I got a sense that maybe nobody really does that big trade up, if you ask me.
If I'm the Jets, man, you pick this guy up. Man, you have to have a bigger plan. Your plan has to be better. I want to see a plan. What is their plan, man? I just don't want to be like, where we got players. So do 26 other football teams got players, and
they like to make those big splashy plays, man, to make the headlines.
Yeah, they like to sell jerseys and seats, but nobody's gonna go when you don't win nothing, bro. Like
that is true. They still like that back page there. There was a report now that Cincinnati wants to go all in and sign Trey Henderson, the defensive end.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, you mentioned T. Higgins, and extend Jamar Chase. I don't agree with that. I would move off one of them. Probably Higgins. I would move off one of them to keep Joe Burrow happy. What if they really can't come up with that number? What about the idea of maybe Tennessee calling Cincinnati, offering, because Brian Callahan coached the Titans, offering that one pick? Maybe Cincinnati can work out a way to sign all those guys, but move Burrow's contract and get the one pick and a package around it where you take a tackle, maybe throw Sweat in there, the defensive tackle, and next year's number one. What do you think about entertaining that? Do you think they would probably hang up on the Titans for something like that?
Yeah. Look, I saw.
What do you think, Chad? That get us hyped up down here in Nashville.
I tell you what, and I said this, and I will keep saying this: Allen and Burrow, if they stay in these small markets, they're not going to get into a Super Bowl win. They'll get to a Super Bowl playoff.
Kansas City's not a big. This is the NFL. You're thinking major. You
No,
got to get Major League Baseball out of your mind.
I'm talking about contracts, bro, because contracts, they're the ones that hinder or help you. So Joe Burrow was on a podcast stating that he's looking
Chad would love that. That gets Chad gassed up.
Burrow's looking into, restructuring his contract to make these things happen.
Yeah.
He hadn't chosen which one he wants to do yet, but listen, bro, I mean, that's a lot of money that has to go to a small amount of players. And I'm with you. I would maybe move T. Higgins or both T. Higgins and Hendrickson.
Henderson's got some age on him. I don't know why they don't move off Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, he's the heart and the soul of the defense. That's why. He's the only one getting up to
they don't have anything.
Yeah.
That's why they can use I would offer him Jeffrey Simmons, but they don't want to pay Simmons' contract. I'd offer them Sweat, that pick, next year's first-round pick. They'd probably want our second-round pick, which would really hurt Tennessee.
Because the only thing you would be doing is making Cincinnati better. But the Tennessee don't have to play Cincinnati like that. So, they're in the AFC South. So
Tennessee's a lot better than what people think. I think.
Oh, I've told you that, and that's that's
kind of the best number one pick team out there I've seen in a while. It's just Levis wouldn't get rid of the ball. Levis. How many times do you not know the snap count? You're the quarterback. I don't know how many games you got a chance to watch up there in New York, or even when you were down here during the season. But the center was snapping the ball, and it was bouncing off of his chest all the time.
Right.
And he's fumbling the ball. I understand maybe one time a season that happened, but it seems like it's 5 or 6 times a season. I mean, dude, don't you know the snap count? You're the guy that makes the snap count.
Yeah, and I think when I was watching these games with Levis, I think it's like he's not comfortable in the hurry up. He got to be in the huddle. He got to be in a huddle. He got to explain what's going on. I think it's all about control for him. And then you see the defense and your eyes get big because you think you see something and you're not, and you're doing something else. So for him, I think it's just a transition of being an NFL quarterback, being on the field the whole time, and just timing. You're right. That ball was not in his hands the way it should be. And I'm not sure if it's the center or if it's him, but if it was him, he should have just sat down with the coaches and been like, listen, on 2, no matter what. And then he should have been with that. Something simple, just keep it simple. But if he fixes the
Right.
small things, is he a starting quarterback in the NFL? And we said this. We always said that if Will Levis gets picked up, right, when we saw him playing SEC ball in Kentucky, if he gets drafted, he'd probably be a backup quarterback somewhere in the NFL. If
We saw him get smoked by Tennessee.
Well, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just. It was the fact. Oh, he had a lot of good players surrounding him, but he's not a terrible quarterback, right? But
I was willing to give him the benefit of that. I was with Keith, but I do remember watching those Tennessee games. I'm like, man, this dude's got some quit in him, like nobody's business.
I think that's
Tennessee just smoked him, man.
I think that was one of the things that I saw. Was it's not that it's quit; it's that he can't get over the last play.
You got to have a short memory,
Yeah, he just can't get. And so he's thinking about the last play. And so you would see him do things like the rush came one side from the last play. So he was already trying to go to the other side, And you saw those things, and he can't think like that. He just got to get every play for what it is. And, it's easy to sit here and say those things because we're not behind a center and getting attacked by 300-pounders. But, it's just part of the game, and we have to know what the game is. And he's I say he's 3/4 there, but if he becomes a quarterback that's consistent, he'd probably be a backup quarterback. I mean, that's just the way.
Yeah,
it looks like
it's going. I was expecting a big jump for him, and he's not.
Were you expecting that because they got a new coach, or were you expecting that?
An offensive-minded head coach, all those pieces.
What did I tell you? Once they got Callahan,
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I told people this. Once they got Callahan, that's it for the Titans, man. They're not going to be good for the next 3 years, bro.
Oh, you didn't like Callahan?
No, I did not like that pick at all. Not at all. No, sir. Not if you're going from a defensive-minded coach and you go try to flip it to an offensive-minded coach, and then he's going to bring his dad in, which, fine, that helps.
His dad was there to help. The biggest flaw was the offensive line.
Yeah, but that doesn't – the focus point is not your – the focus point should be your team as a team, not just one side of the ball. And it didn't really help because the guy couldn't catch a ball from his freaking center. So how much did that help him?
Well, that goes to show you that Levis has really fell off. Not that he ever was on.
And then
the Titans going to get a quarterback. It just depends on if it's going to be a bridge or if that's going to be through the draft.
But here, check this out, Robert.
To answer that question, I would definitely call Cincinnati for that. Would you, if you're Tennessee, would you try to get Burrow, or would you just try to do something else?
I would definitely try to get Burrow because he's not on the trading block. That's a problem.
So you don't think you can connive that? The fans would really revolt. They would have voted worse than the Mav fans.
Well, what happens is that you have everything set up for Burrow. You would have his number one ready to be there, and he won't want to be there, right? You'll have his linemen that are like pro Burrow. They won't be on the same page because you got rid of Burrow. So there's a lot of stuff that, and the guy's from Ohio, so he doesn't want to not be in Ohio.
Yeah.
So
he's dropping hints. The reason why I said that is he's like, hey, y'all need to get these guys in here. Other words, I'm not happy. I said he should play out that contract and sign elsewhere.
Yeah.
And try not to get himself hurt. He couldn't grasp the system. He's the line. I seen him holding on to the ball too long, man. I mean, I don't think the line's that bad.
I think
you can use a right tackle, but a lot of it was on Levis if you watched all those games.
Yeah, and you got rid of your other quarterback, and he actually did decent as a backup.
Tannehill.
No. He got rid of
Rudolph?
No, the kid who went to Green Bay.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he
did okay in Green Bay for a few as a backup. He had 3 games that he won.
Yeah, I mean that made Callahan look bad. Malik Willis, that made him look bad.
Yeah, so you think LaFleur?
But I still think Malik Willis is limited, man.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I didn't say he was a superstar.
I mean, he's no Jordan Love. He did better than what I thought he was going to do, which is nothing. So he did +1. He went down here and beat Tennessee back in October. What do you think about the SEC basketball conference? Is it the most dominant conference in college basketball, or is it just a deep conference in college basketball?
I think it's the most competitive conference in
Okay.
in college basketball. And what I mean is that you don't want to play any of these teams, you know, in the dance. You just in March Madness. You don't want to play because any one of those teams are going to come out there and put it on the floor. Now the deeper conference, I hate saying this, is the ACC right now.
You think so?
With some of their teams being deeper than you know. But,
I mean, who do they got other than Duke and North Carolina this year?
But those two teams have plus 6 players.
I'm looking at it now.
You know,
I can't even find North Carolina at the top.
You know,
Duke is number 3 right now. But check this out. Auburn number 1, Florida number 2. This is in the AP poll.
Right.
Alabama's number 4. Alabama was number 2 last week.
Right.
Tennessee 6th
6. They were number 1 for like 3
for a while.
For
And
2
then
months.
you got Texas A&M at 7. I mean, this is crazy right
But
here.
what you're telling me is what I just said to you. The SEC is the most competitive. In other words, all these
That
guys.
tells me it's got a lot of depth. But I wouldn't use the word dominant. I thought about the word dominant.
No, they're not
They
dominant.
haven't won a national championship since 2012 with Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah. Look,
You know,
that's why I say competitive because they're not.
yeah, it's pretty freaking competitive. Ole Miss is 24, Kentucky's 17, Missouri's 15. I mean, this is crazy. Probably the deepest league that they've ever had by a long shot. You know, I don't even remember the SEC being really
Dominant.
having this depth when we were kids in the 90s, man.
No, and even
It
when you had
started maybe Bruce Pearl with the Tennessee.
yeah, and even when you had the Vanderbilt sneak in on the back end, you know, and you were like, okay, let's go Commodores.
Yeah.
You know, like it's I like the SEC college basketball for the competitive nature, anyways. You know, I like them going in there and beating up on a Big 10 or a Big 12 school like Illinois or somebody like that. I like that because it's like you guys thought you were so big because you played Michigan and then you know in Indiana, like whatever. Like, you know, I like that.
Yeah.
Because the Southeast, they bring in and another thing what I like about the SEC is that they bring in a lot of East Coast players, bro. They always be
You know, I
bringing in-
think it probably all happened around the same time or right around the time we entered college, the early 2000s. Because you think about it, forget about Kentucky for a minute. Kentucky's always been good.
right.
But really, they've kind of carried the conference from the 90s up. But
Yeah.
you had Billy Donovan, then you had Bruce Pearl, and then everything else started to change after that. We're talking early 2003, 2005. National championship. Of course, Bruce Pearl made Tennessee actually competitive. I don't ever remember Alabama being good. And, of course, Auburn was never good growing up. Of course, Pearl swings, comes back around and plays for Auburn, coaches for Auburn. It's pretty interesting, man.
Yeah,
How
what I
things-
like,
the landscape has changed, you know?
yeah, and what I like now here in New York, here in Queens, is that the Red Storm is coming. Patino's coaching. They got the
Tino's out there 75 coaching like he's 45.
yeah, and they got the Johnnies here. I wouldn't put them in the national championship, but they're gonna be in the run, and you guys gotta be scared for that because that team is hot, man. That
You
team-
think St. John's is going to make a run?
Oh yeah, they definitely. I think that they're gonna be in the quarterfinals.
What rank are they 10th?
So
That's interesting. I do believe in Patino, man.
it's not just him, but that crew that he got there. They got three guys in there that shouldn't play the whole game, but they do. I think Patino needs to pick up another 2 players and on the bench and put them.
Yeah.
And-
St. John's is
man. And they play
they're
a
going to be
lot.
a force to be reckoned with, man.
Yeah, I've been watching them, man, and
They are 10th. Yes, I was reading that right. Yeah.
they've been playing these guys, and it's been fun to watch them. It's been fun around here in the hood to hear about St. John and the Johnnies, and making a comeback and bringing basketball back to Queens. Man, it's a good feeling, bro. It's you got baseballs in the air. You got March Madness.
Yeah.
It's a good time to be in New York. You got the draft coming up, so everybody's like, "Come on, let's do something in New York."
Boy,
So,
I used to have the draft up there every year. Do you miss those days?
I mean, I wasn't there for. I wasn't here for those days. But listen, I do, and on top of that, the Knicks.
You've never been to the draft, have you?
No, I've been around, but the Knicks they're in the mix of things going on, so it's good, man. Sports is kind of not too bad. The whole hockey thing is kind of like I'm in for the USA thing, but I was hoping more from the Rangers and the Islanders this year, but it's still early. It's still early, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Yeah. This past a couple of days, yesterday, Greg Sankey, speaking of the SEC, and the commissioner of the Big Ten, I forgot his name, they both said this college football playoff should be changed.
Yes, I'm right about that, yeah.
What do you think about an Oregon? They should have been playing Ohio State at Oregon that first game, right? It shouldn't have been a neutral site game, right?
Look, the thing about, and everybody knows this, the thing about college football is you got to do one thing. You show transparency and you let the NCAA do the scheduling, or you do the teams themselves control the scheduling. It's one or the other. You can't have it both ways, right? So if this whole college is going on, the reason this whole college football thing is going on is because too many of these direct ADs want more and more money, right? And they're the ones that already have the most money. These are like the top 5 conferences, and they already got a lot of money. They want more of it. They want more control. So this is what you get, right? And the worst part is that on the commercial side, they're allowing you to get in a mess, right? Because you're allowing for these bowl games, you're allowing for these tournaments, you're allowing for all this to bring in money and capital to pay for this stuff. If you want there to be balance and transparency, then you have to give the control back to the people that are not the schools. And the problem right now is the NCAA is not in that, don't have that structure, and is not formulated to do that.
Yeah.
They're not. So to the rich go the spoils, right? It's like,
to the rich goes the spoils.
What you want. Like, if you want to be up there with them and compete, you got to find the money somehow or another. Now that NIL is available, and get there and fight.
Chad's saying it's more competitive. Yeah, I mean, it was more competitive. They made a lot of mistakes that first year. Hopefully they clean them up and not. Obviously, those other commissioners have to vote on this. You just can't have the SEC and the Big Ten vote on it. I was reading about that the other day.
I think
they just seem to be slower to get the stuff right compared to the NFL.
Right. So now you're looking our generation and the one generation before us, they're getting in a huff and a puff because they're the ones that are giving the most money as alumni, right? They're giving to the school. So they want more from what they're given. And right now that space is not allowing for that. College is different now. You're not going to get the local feel of competition. You're barely getting the regional feel of competition. So either you give your money and be quiet, right? Or you give your money and enjoy what you're getting for it, right? You can't have it both ways, man. Our generation now, we're going to be, in the next 5 years, we're going to be the ones that start giving the most money.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I do think that
they'll
get it right, man.
And we were, as we were young.
How many guys our age is giving them a lot of money?
Yeah, look, we saw a lot of competition, a lot of regional.
Elon Musk is only 4 or 5 years older than us.
Yeah, look, we saw, competitions as we're coming up. We saw like how it was like the Pac-10, and like we saw like the Red River rivalry. We saw all that stuff. Yeah. And guess what? We were like kind of bored with that sometimes because they were just hyping up schools that weren't that good at the, or some
That's
were,
true.
So
that's true.
There wasn't always great competition. It was just a good tournament or a good, game one or twice. Like there was times when Notre Dame was terrible and we had to watch it, and because that was the only thing.
So Boise State goes undefeated again. and they play one or two good teams.
Do you want to watch Boise State every Sunday, Robert?
I want Boise State to be like a 7 or 8 or maybe 10 seed versus a 4. You cannot make them a top 4 seed. That's all they're saying.
I know, but
Boise you got to put a Ole Miss in there. You know, I mean, these guys have got more players that's going to play on Sunday, and they're always trying to play patty cake and let's play it for the little guy. No, let's just play it for what's best for what's on TV. You know,
let's just say Boise State's team compared to Georgia University.
Let's Sankey cook. I do. Hey, Greg Sankey knows what he's talking about. That's the commissioner of the SEC.
Yeah, like, look, if you compare University of Georgia to Boise State, that'd be like University of Georgia's third team.
Yeah.
You know?
I like Genty.
You know, but again, you don't want to see that. Like, a lot of people didn't want to see University of Tennessee play Austin Peay. People are like, what the heck's Austin Peay? Like, what are they doing? Like, you know, but us alumni from Austin Peay were like, hey, let's see what they can do, you know, give them an opportunity. And then you saw what happened. You're like,
I didn't like that game.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, Oregon, they work their butt off. They go undefeated, and then they draw Ohio State the very first round, get smoked.
But again,
that would have been a different game if it would have played again in Eugene like it should have been played.
Yeah, but look, Robert, we were both on this on the Ducks.
We both picked Oregon in the regular season.
And we were saying, okay, they beat them the first time. There's no reason why they can't go in and beat them again. And Ohio State from that game made a run and did what they did. So it wouldn't have mattered where they would have played the Oregon Ducks. Ohio State was destined to be like.
It would have been tighter in Eugene, though.
I don't know if it would have been that much more different.
I don't know, man. It's the same group of guys.
But the group of guys had some kind of revelation, man. They were playing on another level.
I think Ohio State might have won, but we don't never know.
We don't have to know.
That they really do need to make that correction. That's all. I think that's what Greg Sankey was saying.
Yeah, but Sankey, look. If
the Big Ten commissioner.
How about this?
Just Sankey.
If Oregon doesn't beat, if Ohio State beat Oregon in Oregon, are we having this conversation?
No. Well, people didn't like the Boise State game, and
I think what it is people don't like that the Rose Bowl and
that's what Chad's saying. You got to go by the rankings. You cannot go by just because you win your crappy conference. You can't jump a bunch of big conferences.
Like, look, we're going to go into March Madness, right? This is the problem. People want football to be like basketball, and they're two different animals. We're going to see these small teams, Commonwealth of Virginia. We're going to see like something small, and they're going to be like a Cinderella team. They're going to win 2 games, and then they're going to mess up everybody's
bracket,
and then everybody's going to be screaming, and then you're going to be like,
come down to earth time, Final Four time.
Exactly. Yeah. The top 5 conferences will always be ultra competitive. And come Final Four time, you're not going to see that Cinderella team. You're less likely to see a Cinderella team.
That's true.
So if we fight for it in college football, we're going to.
I'm just trying to get better matchups early, you know.
But what if you get a good matchup, but both teams have injuries? Then what do you? Then what's?
That's life in the big city. You know, that's
argument then.
You got anything else you need to plug?
Nah, man, just everybody stay safe. 34 days, Major League Baseball will begin. We're going to have college basketball coming up for March Madness. Get ready for that.
You're hyped up about that,
yeah, man, like, listen, it's
the conference tournaments in a couple weeks.
Yeah, let's do a show, bro. Let's put it out there.
We'll talk a little college game. I got to get Keith Engel back on the program, and we know it's not going to be Connecticut this year.
Listen, I'm got big hopes for the Johnnies. Got big hopes for Tennessee. Let's see if they can come back.
I think Kentucky will come back, and Duke's going to be really good.
A lot. There's going to be a lot more teams that are competitive.
Yes,
that are going to sneak in, and I don't think there's going to be a Cinderella team, though. To be honest with you, I see too many of these.
The league as a whole feels deeper.
Yes, it does. It's going to be madness.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, but we got a ways to go still. The Mad New Yorker, everybody. Crowd tonight. See what Chad says. Chad says, peace, brother. Thank you, Chad.
I'm
Thank
here.
everybody. We'll be back next week here on the Real Sports Go. Thanks again, buddy. See you, man.